Brought to you by Penguin.
The Home Scar by Kathleen Macmahon. Read by Beau, Holland. The storm came in late summer. It swept in off the Atlantic, bringing high seas and gale-force winds that battered the whole of the west coast. It was severe enough to earn itself a name, a red warning, a lead slot on the news. People were told to stay away from the sea, but even so, some ventured out to observe the spectacle. There were surfers seen riding the waves in Sligo, the occasional swimmer at Salt Hill. They were endangering the lives of others as well as their own, according to the spokesperson for Water Safety Ireland, who went on the radio to warn of the risks. As it happened, there was nobody drowned, leading some to say the dangers had been exaggerated. The storm had not been so dramatic after all. Bearing in mind what was happening in the rest of the world, it seemed blessedly tame. The TV was at that time broadcasting pictures on a nightly basis of the forest fires in Catalonia. Vast tracts of the Amazon were in flames, while in Mexico there were reports of snow. A hellish heatwave raged across Europe, with record-breaking temperatures in France, Germany and Poland. City dwellers took to the fountains to cool down. Ice pops were handed out to the zoo animals. In North America, there was rain. So much of it that in New York City the subway stations flooded. Dive teams had to be called in to evacuate people from their homes in Illinois. There was a hail the size of baseballs in Montana. A landslide in Ohio. Cyclones over the Atlantic. It was the tail end of one of those storms that had swept across Ireland, ripping the roofs off schools and football stadiums. Trees were uprooted, weather buoys unmoored. But still, we were lucky, people said. It could have been worse. In the days that followed, the army was called in to help clear the debris from the roads. Electricity repair crews worked night and day to restore power to thousands of homes. Loss adjusters inspected the damage to property, while scientists lined up to blame global warming. Amid all this activity, one thing went unnoticed. It was happened upon purely by chance. By a man out walking his dog on the beach. The man wasn't quite sure what it was he had found, but he at least had the wit to tell someone about it. Thus was the enormity of his discovery understood and eventually made public. What the storm had exposed was an ancient, drowned forest. The first newspaper to cover the story was the Connacht Tribune, a newspaper of long and distinguished standing. The Tribune's newsroom was located in the city of Galway, and it was there that a young reporter took a call about the strange find. Glad of a chance to escape the office, the reporter drove the dozen miles out the coast road to the location described. The dog walker was waiting for him there, with barely contained excitement. It might have been a mutilated body he'd found, not some dead trees. The reporter changed into his wellies, which he kept in the boot of his car, and together they trudged across a muddy field to the beach. At first, it wasn't much to see. The trees were no more than stumps, barely a foot high. The stumps stood knee-deep in the wet sand, like a ghostly, decapitated army. It was only when you hunkered down close to the sand that you were taken by the beauty of them. The grain of the wood was clearly visible, tiger-striped in some places, rounding into whorls in others. The reporter had no knowledge of natural history, but he knew that he was in the presence of something marvellous. Back in the office, he made a few calls and gleaned some facts. His article was filed later that day, in plenty of time for the paper's weekly deadline. The lead story was about a delay to the start of a building.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?